Hey guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. So what I want to show you today is just the best practice I do on all my arcade builds. So typically on a typical arcade build, you're going to have a lot of stuff in addition to your arcade PC or Raspberry Pi that's running your cabinet. So in this case, I got a Pixelcade, I got RGB light up buttons, of course I've got the PC that runs it. And so each device I have, you may have LED strips or other stuff. Each device typically has its own power supply. And so ideally you want everything to turn on and off at the same time so you don't have to individually turn stuff on and off or plug stuff in. So the easiest way to accomplish that is to use a common household power strip. The downside there is you kind of got to reach around maybe on the floor wherever you have your power strip mounted, hit the on and off button. Some people use a smart power strip, so that's like an Amazon or a Google power strip, and just use a voice command to turn it on and off. I've done those, but the problem with those is if you have some network issue or whatever reasons it loses connection to your Wi-Fi or change your Wi-Fi password, then you got to reset everything up, and it's kind of a pain. So what I like to do in my builds is actually just have it hooked up to a physical button. And so if I reach around the back here, and I'll show you what the button looks like. I hit the button. That's actually going to trip what's called an IoT power switch relay. And that's basically going to turn everything on. So the PC is going to turn on. In this case, I've got a Pixelcade. I've got RGB buttons. Those are going to light up. And so that's just kind of a convenient way to turn everything on and off with the push of a button. Let me reach around the back. Well, let's let it start up. And then what I'll do is I'll hit the button again, and then it'll basically shut everything down. So let's just do that right now. So I'll hit the button, and that'll trigger. And so the button's actually hooked up to the PC. So most PCs have a momentary switch. So if you basically wire into that switch and solder a couple wires to an external button, you can turn on and off your PC. And I'll show you in this next segment how the IoT relay power switch controls everything else.
All right, so just wanted to show you how I'm gonna power this install. This is called an IoT relay. It's basically a power strip with a little relay in there, and I like this a lot. I use it for a lot of my builds. So the way this is gonna work is I'm gonna take this PC. So here's the PC I'm using. This PC, hopefully it's got enough power. It was so far so good in my tests. Got 4 USB ports, 2 HDMIs, so that's what I wanted. And the PC is going to plug into the always on this IoT relay switch. And then Pixelcade is going to plug into one of these. And the AtGames pinball machine is going to plug into the other one. And then what I've done, because this is going to be mounted inside our cab, we can't get to the power switch. So the switch still works, but I've wired up this switch to an actual switch that looks like this, and this I'm going to mount under the cab. So the way that'll work is because this is going to be plugged into the always on, I can just simply hit this to turn this on. When that turns on, I'm going to wire up a special USB cable that's going to go from here into this input. And so when the PC turns on, the USB gets 5 volts, goes into the relay says, oh, okay, I've got power. Now I'm going to turn on these 2 switches. So it's a really nice way to have everything, including Pixelcade, just completely automated. So when I want to turn it off, I'm just going to hit the switch. It's going to go back to that USB. USB is going to turn off because the PC is going to turn off. The USB is going to turn off. And it says, oh, okay, I don't have any more USB power. Let me turn off these 2. It's automatically going to turn off the AtGames pinball and Pixelcade. So that's how we're going to wire everything up.
All right, so here's the USB cable that we're going to make for the IoT power relay. And so if you just splice this cable, typically you're going to see a black and a red, so that's what we want. These other cables are for data, so we don't care about those. So we'll go ahead and lop these off. And like I said, and then all this is just shielding, so we don't care about that either. So we can just literally get rid of these guys here, and we just care about those black and red cables. Okay, so now just take your wire stripper and clip off a little bit here. I think that's good enough. Okay, and then let's just, what we can do is tin these. We can just put a little solder on them, and that'll help it stay together a little bit better. All right, so while the soldering iron is heating up, I'll just take, what I like to do is just kind of wrap it. Just take some solder and wrap it like that. All right, that should be good. Take our solder and just, this is called tinning. Just makes it a little bit more rigid. That's it. So now what we'll do is we'll go back to our IoT relay. And so this little piece goes in the side like that. And so if you look at it, the positive is on the left. So that's where our red wire is going to go. And the negative, that's our ground, is going to go on the right. So what you can actually do is just take this out. I'll just make it a little bit easier to work with. So we got this guy here. Let's loosen these up a little bit. Go back to that USB cable that we just made. Okay. So I think I got a little bit extra on the red side, so let's just cut that down just a little bit. Okay, so remember we want the red on the left side. So let's just double check. This is going to go in like this. The left side is the red. And just jam it in there. And then let's use the screw terminals to screw it down. Okay, give a little bit of yank. We know we're good. Same thing on the black side. Take off a little bit there. Okay, so it looks good, nice and sturdy. So let's go ahead and take that, plug it in. Now let's do a little test. So we'll plug in our IoT relay. So you can see I got power. And if I take this and plug it into a USB port on a computer, so this is off camera, so just trust me, what I'm doing is I'm plugging this into an open USB port. I should hear a click. Okay, hear that click? So I'm going to turn off the USB port. That's off. Turn it on. So that's how we know everything is working, and we can proceed to the next step.